Hi everybody and welcome to my 50,000 subscriber special. So today I want to show you the new quarry we've been working on. It took us about 60 hours to finish it. And I also want to use this opportunity to thank everybody for subscribing, all the support over the years, then my supporters on Patreon, and also other YouTubers that helped promoting my content, for example by building it in survival. Okay, so the new quarry is twice as fast as the old module because it's actually able to pick up 2 layers at once now. So I prepared a little time lapse where you can see it in action. Okay, now I'm also joined by Methods.
Hey.
And Enemy's Friend.
Heyo.
They again helped designing the quarry, and now we want to show you the basic principle of the double layer quarry, so how we grab the blocks. So we use this flying machine here, which gets launched by activating the observer, And this time we just need one single block as a return station. That's something that Coolmann showed me a while ago. And this way we can send the machine back, and it advances by one step, and it grabs 6 blocks in total. 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. Okay. There's just a little issue with the update order. Maybe Enemy want to explain this? So if we would try to do something like this, of course, then we're running into the push limit. And can't go back.
Yeah, the problem with the update order is if we send all the machines at the same time, the machines that are a bit more in front will try to grab the block and go over the push limit and will get stuck. You can see here.
Yeah, so what happened that the machine which flies in this position here was updated first and tried to fly back but couldn't. So basically what we need to do is to move this flying machine and this one back first, and then this one needs to move first, but everything happens in the same game tick. But we can make this happen by manipulating the update order. So what we do here now, we use comparators and repeaters to launch the machine. The comparators update after repeaters. In this way we can actually grab all the blocks and we don't have any issues with the update order. So those blocks will be grabbed by other machines. Of course we can't use any comparators and repeaters for a flying machine because they would be stationary. That's why we had to influence the update order a little bit differently. So we used a butt chain. So each piston that would extend here, so if I give an update to this one, then this slime block line is connected, and we would update the next piston in the same game tick, and so on. We get the update chain. So basically what we do here, the butts here in the back update the flying machines in the back first, and then we go around, make a turn, and the update chain goes in the other direction and updates the machines in the front. And this way we make sure that we have the correct update order and don't have any issues with the push limit. We also need the update order if we want to push the whole machine down. So we have the same loop again to push the machine down. And also the vertical flying machine that grabs the block. So those machines here, they also need to be launched in the correct order because they would also try to grab those blocks here, and if we would have the wrong update order, they would attempt to grab this block here. So we also need to make sure that those activate in the right order. And at the bottom we could actually use the comparators and repeaters to make sure that the machine launches correctly. Another challenge of this system was we had to go down 2 layers at once instead of just one. So we basically needed to make a system that activates twice. So actually made a quite smart system. It's over here. So basically the flying machine comes over, there's an observer block attached, which would activate this system here. So I give it an update and it would move down twice, as you can see. So once and twice and stops again. So we don't create a clock or anything on an engine, just activates twice. It happens quite fast, so let me explain what happens here. So we activate this piston here, pushes the block forwards, activates the butt, and then with a little bit of delay, this part here is pushed down. So the whole machine is pushed down, and that this piston is also attached here, and basically this observer activates the sticky piston again, grabs the block in that position, activates the butt a second time, and then this whole thing gets pushed again. But meanwhile this piston here has pulled the observer block here and is in that position. So if I push this down again, then the sticky piston isn't activated, but this observer of course is activated and it gets immediately pushed over. And because I push it immediately while this observer is turning off, it arrives in a new position and doesn't activate again, so we don't activate this piston here. So maybe let's do it again so you can see what happens. So as you can see, this observer doesn't activate the sticky piston because it's actually in a cooldown phase. So this is quite a compact system, and make sure that the machine flies down 2 blocks. Okay, so also the block grabbing got a little bit more complicated than with the single layer quarry, because we have to grab 2 blocks now. So this is methods part. Maybe you want to explain it?
Yeah, so first of all we grab the the simple block basically, which is this one here. Big challenge in this thing is basically to make sure that the flying machine doesn't pull all your pistons when it goes again, stuff like that. So now we have pushed the first piston, we activate this again, then we activate the top part, do the whole thing twice. Now we have gotten rid of all the blocks, and this here would be the flying machine, would then fly on again.
Oh, I'm actually failing here. What was the sequence?
Bottom twice, top twice, bottom twice.
Okay, so let's start it. So bottom once more, then top twice.
Yep.
And bottom twice again. Okay, that's the sequence.
Now we have gotten rid of all the blocks, and the vertical flying machines can launch again.
Okay. Yeah, then everything is pushed over into the new TNT system, because the old one was actually a little bit flawed. Maybe Methods want to explain what we did incorrectly there?
The big issue is TNT has a blast effect range of 7 blocks, and if you have 2 TNT overlapping with the blast effect range and they blow up, they will delete items. Even if everything is activated, you still get update order problems. So definitely items would be deleted, so we had to make sure that each TNT has its full blast range free and is not overlapping with another TNT. So this is why we used an offset here, which we didn't have in the first Quarry, where we didn't quite realize what was going on.
Yeah, in the old Quarry we had TNT here and another TNT there and the next one here.
Yeah, and that definitely deletes items. So the first TNT would break some blocks, block 36 everything, and then technically an update later the second TNT would delete the items.
Yeah, and by moving the TNT here we get more items now.
Yep.
So we made a measurement, we get about 95 to 96% of the items now. And the old one, remeasured it, actually it's just 80%, because we didn't know it at the time, or didn't notice it. So yeah, some efforts also worked on the pickup system. So it's more compact now. The old one was a little bit bulky, and this one is really compact now. There's also now a option that the minecart system would run 3 or 4 minutes longer, because if you turn the Quarry off, then still some blocks could be pulled in and be exploded, and we just need to make sure that all the items are picked up now. That's why we have a little delay of 3 minutes with this dropper hopper clock, which makes sure that we get all the items now. Okay, so also maybe some general informations. The trench that you need now for the double layer Quarry on one side is wider, so this is now 20 wide. You need to make a 20 wide trench in the nether. On the side, again, 1 wide on both sides, and on the opposite side, again, a 9 wide trench like with the old Quarry. So basically, the trench is just wider on this side. Instead of 9, it's 20 wide. Also, we didn't mention it yet, this Quarry is meant to be used in the nether dimension, because it has some issues with gravity blocks, so it couldn't work with gravel. We actually built something up. Let's go over there. Okay, here you can see what happens if you would have some gravity blocks, so they would fall down, and the next time the Quarry is launched, so let's move those blocks quickly. Then of course the Quarry would collide with the new blocks and would break. So you definitely need to make sure that you don't have any gravity blocks in the nether. That's not that hard for a huge Quarry. Let's say 400 by 400. They're usually just about a few hundred gravel blocks in the nether. There's also no point to use a Quarry of this size in the overworld dimension, because there are better options. If you just need a perimeter, you can use TNT Quarries that blast everything but don't pick up any blocks. And there's, except maybe the mesa biome where you can pick up terracotta, there's no real resource that is interesting that you can get an overworld. Also, wouldn't reach down to diamond level even, so you can only go up to layer 16. The old Quarry was able to go down to 11, but we saved some layers on top. So for the old Quarry we needed 15 layers on top of space below the bedrock, and now 12 layers is enough, which is actually quite convenient, because I made a tunnel boss system a while ago. They could actually blast a 12 wide space between the bedrock and your top layer. So you don't need to move anything manually for pickaxe now. Okay, now let's also take a look at the return stations. So, enemy?
Yeah, with the return stations we have some little issues, and we also have some gains. So one big problem was with the update order for pushing down twice, because after we push down once, the flying machine that returns the return stations would have lost its block, this piston here specifically. And we tried around a little bit, and after a while we just decided we push it back with another piston afterwards. And that would also start it.
Okay, so what this happens if you push down the first time, this piston here actually pushes everything away, and then we push in the other piston again, and then if you push down once more, then the machine automatically launches. But because the launching mechanism is different now, we had some issues with the return station. So usually we just use a single piston to return the whole flying machine, but this wasn't possible because of some weird update order issue. We didn't quite figure out. That's why this return station got a little bit more complicated, but yeah, it still works.
Not quite one piston anymore.
Yeah, not one piston anymore. It was quite annoying, so we just found out after we saw the quarry is finished and had to invest some 10 hours more, but now it works, so everything is fine.
Also, a little bonus of the new return station, because you only have to return one observer, we can return both return stations or two observers with one flying machine now. So, little plus. Also, this is only 12 blocks high, so all fits within the space a tiny ball can clear.
Also, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this quarry is now twice as fast as the old one. So this is 100 by 100 by 50 high volume of blocks, and it will take about 40 hours now to mine this. So it's really fast. In comparison to the first quarry we built in survival, it's even 4 times faster now. So it's really fast quarry. Also the lag, I made a test here. I can actually run this quarry with 200 TPS, so it's still quite lag friendly. Yeah, no issues there.
Not sure if we mentioned it already, but this quarry is especially good for the end, because endstone is really slow to mine, so decent sized quarry could be faster than that by mining by hand as well.
Yeah, also what we also should mention, there's no issues with liquids, of course. If you use it in another dimension, you need to remove gravel, as I said, and also of course chests and spawners in fortresses. Also, what would be really useful is a mob switch, so you don't get any gas that shoot you while you build those flying machines.
Definitely required.
It's required.
I suggest to try it without it.
Yeah, definitely required. The quarry is also expandable. So here's actually the version that we built on the SciCraft server. It's 428 wide and 356 long, and it will mine 4 million endstone in about 25 days. And so this quarry is then actually faster than a player that would do it manually. So in my older videos I always heard the comment, wouldn't it be actually faster to use pickaxes? And nope, this quarry is actually faster now. Even if you compare it with a player that does manual work. Of course you can AFK and you don't have to lift a finger while this thing is running. When you make this even longer, so we might plan to do it in the nether again, of a size of 800 wide times 400, then it's even faster in the nether dimension. Then a player with his pickaxe also needs to remove lava. So those quarries are now actually faster than players. Alright, so in case you're interested in building one of those quarries, you can find a world download. There will be the 100 by 100 quarry, but also the bigger quarry, and of course you could adjust it to any size really. Just need to pay a lot of attention. For example, here the top part is 6 wide tileable, the TNT system at the bottom is 18 wide tileable, another part that here is 12 wide tileable. You just need to make sure that you get the dimensions right if you use MC Edit for a bigger size quarry. Also please let me know if you actually build something like this in survival, because I'm just interested to see how many people build quarries in survival. So thanks a lot for watching, have a nice day, bye bye.